This is Why Am I a Mets Fan, a podcast hosted by Samantha Croston and Ashley Wenskoski.
What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Why Am I a Mets Fan podcast. That's Ashley Wenskoski. I'm Samantha Croston, and we are two Syracuse reporters. Thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Be sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. Really helps us out when you do that. We're here to talk about some of the divisional rounds, the things that have been heating up, who's winning, who's losing, who's overperforming, who's underperforming. Hi, Ashley. How we doing?
I just really need to get it off my chest. The Yankees lose. And the Yankees lose.
The Yankees lose. I thought you were going to say you hate the Philly fanatic. I'm like, we know.
Yeah, no, I got that out last time. This time I have more to say on the sad state of affairs that is the New York Yankees in the ALDS.
The Yankees are facing the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays are up 2-0 in the best-of-5 series. To say that the Yankees are on the brink would be the understatement of the century. This was a disaster class over 2 days. I mean, they got killed, smoked, murdered, embarrassed.
The Yankees are on the edge of a very bad cliff, staring straight down. First two games in Toronto, obviously, so there's that. They didn't have the home field advantage, but oh my God, I was watching this game on Sunday as I was putting together the sportscast here, and I mean, every time you looked up, there was another home run going over the wall for the Blue Jays. This performance from Trey Yesavage, I believe it is, of the Blue Jays, Yesavage, I have never really seen anything like that in my life, in particular from a rookie 22-year-old. He struck out 11 in 5 1/3 no-hit innings. I mean, they took him out 78 pitches. Yeah, they had to do it. Obviously, there's no way that they could have let him keep going and finish that game. But oh my God, this kid is diabolical.
Trey Yesavage is a savage, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, really.
He was selected by Toronto with the number 20 pick last year in the amateur draft. The 22-year-old right-hander rose through 4 minor league levels this season before joining the Blue Jays and going 1-0 in 3 September starts. He began the year in low A.
Started the year. This guy, okay, this is a Mets podcast. We talked enough about Nolan McLean and Jonah Tong. This guy started the year in low A in the Florida State League. Florida State League down here, ALDS in Toronto, shutting the Yankees down up here.
Big time, big time, big time. He had a splitter that a lot of people were talking about. He also had a really interesting moment where he was staring down a batter who took time and was trying to, figure a few things out mentally. And Yesavage just stays. Have you seen that clip? He's just staying here the entire time and then just strikes the batter out on strike 3. Honestly, awesome moment. His entire family was there. Seems like a really humble kid. But beyond that, I mean, the Blue Jays just scorched the Yankees 13-7. I understand. Listen, if you're a Yankees fan and you want to talk about the 7 runs, you can. But I actually think that, but honestly, they won't even do that. Yankees fans understand the fact that those 7 runs actually didn't matter at all against Toronto's bullpen. Congrats. They don't care. They don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, obviously, it was a different story. Once they took him out of the game and put the bullpen in, it was 7 runs in 3 1/3 or something. But, I mean, it doesn't matter, honestly. We all need a little more of the, chutzpah, a little more of the moxie. Whatever Trey Yesavage has going on, everybody could use a little more of that.
Max Fried could use a little more of that.
Max Fried, for instance, could use a little more of that. Max Fried, old friend, allowed 7 runs and 8 hits in just over 3 innings. I mean, things have not been going well for Max Fried. They were going well towards the end of the season. He gave up 7 runs in all 5 of his September starts combined. So that puts it in perspective for you. Fried just had nothing on Sunday. And if you're the Yankees, that's a tough pill to swallow because it's you come into game 2, you need a win. You lost game 1. This is only a best-of-5 series. You do not have the luxury of 7 games to work with. You throw Fried out there, it's pretty much as close to a sure thing as you've got in that Yankee rotation, and he just lays an egg. Goose egg.
I mean, listen.
Ostrich egg. I don't know.
That can happen. In the postseason, that can happen, but it is twofold, right? It's the fact that Fried didn't have as good of a performance as he obviously could have and has previously. It's also the fact that the Blue Jays lineup showed up to play. The Blue Jays lineup heard what you said about them and they took it to freaking heart, Ashley.
You just read my mind because I was about to issue a formal announcement. Personal news breaking. I am so sorry to the Toronto Blue Jays and all of their fans because as some may remember, last offseason as things were going down with Juan Soto and a few other free agent characters, Alonso, whatever, the Blue Jays, it's always like somebody throws their name out there. And I said the Blue Jays never win in free agency or otherwise. And it turns out the Blue Jays are in fact winning. So shout out to the Toronto Blue Jays. You did in fact prove me wrong, and I'm happy about it, especially because you're playing the Yankees. This lineup, I mean, obviously Guerrero, right? Okay, Vladdy. I really hate
Vladdy
to call.
Daddy.
I know. All right, Vladdy
You can say
Daddy
it.
for all of our new listeners. I do need to explain the inside joke. Vladdy Daddy was coined by my father about a year ago, and it was too good, so we haven't been able to stop saying it. So. Vlad, I mean, he's just everything and more. We're going to talk about him more in a minute because we have like a little fun comparison to make that's going to piss everybody off. But Vlad, with the grand slam, I mean, that was the final bullet on Sunday. He hit the grand slam a mile and a half, like over the CN Tower. He gets out there, he's doing a curtain call. There's a cape. I was like, okay, if you're the Yankees, this is like your rest in peace. You're in the ground.
It's like embarrassing. It's like you don't like you may as well just get on the plane and go the hell home. The bat flip. It was, you know what it was? It was cinema. It was what makes baseball so great unless you're on the Yankees. It's what makes baseball so terrible. It was a no doubter. I mean, they had the cameras going.
Oh my God.
They're zooming in on Max Fried's faces. Props, shout out to everyone who was involved on that crew. Bad and great. You know what I mean?
And great. The crowd would not stop until he got out there with a cape and did the curtain call. Just tremendous. If you don't love Vlad, then you don't love what's good for baseball because he is good for baseball. But other than that, like you said, I mean, this Blue Jays lineup, you don't put up 13 runs solely with Vlad. Dalton Varsho, 4 for 5, 2 doubles, drove in 4 runs. Obviously, Vlad was 3 for 5, scored twice. And then Clement and George Springer homered too. Like, you look at this lineup, and I mean, I don't know who's been watching the Toronto Blue Jays all year. Certainly not many people, but that's a deep lineup that could be really dangerous in a 5-game series, a 7-game series, whatever.
It's going to be a problem, and it is a problem. And the Yankees have a Toronto Blue Jays problem because
The Yankees have a Canadian problem.
they do.
They have a problem with Canada.
They do. Even though they're going back to New York, we're seeing obviously a lot of dialogue on Twitter today. I love that space so much.
A lot of
It's such
discourse,
great space.
right.
A lot of discourse going on. What I really think could happen to the Yankees is that they go back to New York, win games 3 and 4, and then just get murdered in game 5. Because that's the other thing that I've noticed.
That would be the best death, wouldn't it?
It would be a very Yankees way to go out, giving the fans some hope in games 3 and games 4, and then game 5 comes around and it is not particularly close. That's really my honest to God prediction. That's what I believe. My second prediction would be they just lose in game 3 and the whole thing's over.
Yeah.
I really see very, very little chance that they come out of this series with a win. I really don't see it personally. And if I have to eat my words, I will. It's not going to happen.
Well, the odds and the probability agrees with you because yesterday after that loss, you know, they like to flash the little fun lower thirds saying, teams that go down 0-2 in this, like in the ALDS in the best of 5 series lose like 90% of the time.
Yeah.
That's where the Yankees are at. All right. You have a 10% chance at this point. Also, I should mention, so the Yankees are going back to the Bronx. They have that going for them. If the pitching matchup wasn't what it was, I would say that I would bet on the Yankees to win game 3. However, I don't know if I feel that way. Shane Bieber, former AL Cy Young winner, is scheduled to start against them, and it's going to be Rodon for the Yankees. He's been up and down throughout this stretch, throughout this postseason. But Bieber hasn't been perfect either. He is the 3.57 ERA in 7 starts, just came back from the elbow surgery in August. I guess we'll see. If the Yankees, if the home crowd is enough to spark some momentum. If Rodon goes out there and has a dominant start, all of a sudden that puts you in a better position. But if you are the Yankees, you are climbing an uphill battle.
If you are the Yankees, you need to seek out something spiritual, and you need to figure out and find a way in your heart to hit the damn ball. I'm not saying that the pitching hasn't been a problem or hasn't been up and down, because it has. But beyond just Aaron Judge, which we are going to get to, the Yankees, their lineup just needs to have a breakout game. Like, I need to see production from all of the people who we've been seeing production from. I want to see a guy like Jazz Chisholm have a big game. I want to see a guy like Ben Rice have a big game. And then obviously, of course, you have to see Aaron Judge do something memorable or worthwhile in October, and that's what leads us to the conversation we're about to discuss.
And here we go.
And here I go. You can't stop me.
And there it is.
We're going to compare the stars for you because we think it's an interesting discussion to have. When you look at Vladdy Daddy, you look at Shohei Ohtani, and you look at Aaron Judge, those are your big stars that have big contracts right now that remain in the postseason. And we're going to kind of go through them one by one to let you know how the stars are doing. We're going to start with Vladdy Daddy here this postseason. He has a contract worth, his extension this spring is 14 years, $500 million, which is the largest extension in baseball history and largest contract in Blue Jays history. In 2025 so far, it is obviously a small sample size, 9 at-bats. But he's 6 for 9, hitting .667, 6 RBI. Career postseason, 31 at-bats, he's a .290 hitter. I mean,
small sample size, I will say, but he's young. The Blue Jays do not always find themselves on this stage, and yet he has showed up, right? I mean, obviously, it's only been 2 games this season, but Vlad seems to have a penchant for those big moments, and I think that's what makes his star continue to grow and grow. Now let's talk about Aaron Judge, and then let's talk about how Vlad is sinking Aaron Judge's ship.
So here's Aaron Judge. All right, there's a situation. If you're a Yankees fan, you understand it.
There's a problem.
Aaron Judge has an October problem. It's that simple. It's been that simple for a long time. His contract worth is 9 years, $360 million. His 2025 postseason stats are sort of interesting because he's getting on base damn near half the time, but it's a bunch of singles. And for now, I'll leave it at that. But career, he has around a .220 average in 238 at-bats, which obviously is a much larger sample size. You can look at the numbers because they do matter. And compared to, I believe, his normal batting average is around 280. It is certainly lower than that in the postseason, and that's an issue. But that's not the biggest issue. The biggest issue is that when Aaron Judge was putting pen to paper and everyone was crowning him the king of the New York Yankees and was so excited to have him, there was really one reason why. And the reason why is because he hits home runs. He hits home runs. That's what he does. That's what they paid him to do. Okay. He just flops in the biggest of moments. It happened this year in Game 1, Toronto, bases loaded, top of the 6th. I think the Blue Jays are up 2-0. And he lays a freaking egg, as you mentioned earlier.
Goose egg.
He strikes out on a ball of all balls. I mean, that baseball damn near kissed the dirt.
Yeah, right.
It was a bad at-bat. I don't know if he's in his head about it. I don't know what it is. But I'm going to say something that is going to hurt some people's feelings, but I also think some people are going to agree. So long as Aaron Judge is the captain and the leader of the New York Yankees, I truly believe that they may not win a World Series at all. And the reason why is because if your star has an October problem, it is really extremely difficult to overcome that. And that bug is going to be a big problem for me.
And you
for
have
the
a bug
rest of this
problem.
episode.
Yeah.
I have a big bug problem. I will let that go one time.
Tough
If
timing
that
on the
bug
bug.
comes back again, I'm stopping the episode for
All
a
right.
minute.
Okay. Yes, Aaron Judge. So I think the Vlad comparison is making this starker. They're playing each other. The Blue Jays are up 2-0 in the series, as we mentioned. Aaron Judge, okay, I think it's 8 for 18 here. Like, he's hitting 400 technically in the, so I know somebody's going to say that in the comments. He's hitting 400 this postseason. I got it. Like you said, there's been a lack of power and a lack of showing up in the big moments. It'll be like nobody on in the bottom of the 3rd scoreless game and he hits a single, and that's nice. But that's not what the Yankees pay him $360 million to do. And that is nice. Ken Rosenthal today, MLB Insider, wrote an article that laid this out nicely, although I will say we had the idea for this comparison before Ken Rosenthal put that article out today. Just need to put that out there. But it was good content nonetheless. Rosenthal said, think about it. Judge might win his 3rd MVP award in 4 years, but Jays superstar Vlad Guerrero Jr. arguably has produced more electrifying postseason moments in 2 days, a first-inning homer in Game 1, a grand slam in Game 2, than Judge has in his entire career. Aaron Judge is 34 years old. I feel like we need to bring that back around. Aaron Judge is no longer a crisp 28, 29. Aaron Judge is 34. The Yankees have made the playoffs every single year that Judge has been on the team except for 2023. That, I guess you can attribute that to Judge, or you can attribute that to just the consistent, high level that the Yankees play at throughout the regular season. If you're a Yankees fan, it would haunt me very, very deeply at night. Yeah, you have the 15-year drought, and I guess that's your bigger issue. But thinking about Aaron Judge and the fact that he is a surefire, bona fide, first-ballot Hall of Famer, he is going to go down as probably one of the top 10 hitters in baseball history by the time it is all said and done. And if you never win a title with Aaron Judge as your captain and as your leader and your anchor of that lineup, that would haunt me if I was a Yankees fan. And time's running out. Listen, if they get eliminated in the ALDS this year, you circle back around, he's 35 next year. How many more years you got? 4, 5?
Yeah, time is of the essence. I mean, the Yankees for a long time have held themselves to a certain standard that they're just not living up to. The last time that they won a World Series was 2009. Like, so many things have happened since 2009.
16 years.
How is that even possible?
I was 9.
Right? Like, if I was, and I'm saying that like I'm disgusted, like I'm a Yankees fan, saying 2009. The Mets, we're not going to get into that.
Not right now.
But you know what I mean? Like, as a Mets fan,
Yes,
you understand
yes.
that. You're comfortable with that drought.
We're speaking about this from a Yankees lens.
From a Yankees point of view, I would be so horrifically uncomfortable with that, especially considering the fact that, like you said, this is a team that consistently makes it to the postseason. But it's always going to feel like a flop because the Yankees really should be, I would say, a World Series or bust team, especially when, heard this on a podcast today. Any of you who are Yankees fans or simply baseball fans, check out John Jastrzemski. I am saying that for no other reason than I really like him, and I think he does a great job. He has a podcast on The Ringer called New York, New York, and there's a lot of insight that you can find when you listen to that.
Covers Mets, Yankees, NFL, the whole 9.
Yeah, all of it. But he had said that recently Aaron Boone said that since he had been the Yankees manager, this was the most talented team that he has seen. To say something like that is really bold because if you go out now, what exactly does that say about you? If this is the most talented roster that you've seen, then you should be making it further than this series. You should be making it to the World Series. You should be able to go on a run. And honestly, they just snuck past the Boston Red Sox. We could have been having a totally different conversation a few days ago if Game 2 or Game 3 went differently, right? And that was a good series. But I'm telling you right now, knowing Yankees fans, knowing New York people, as a Long Islander myself, the high from the series against the Boston Red Sox, that celebratory feeling is not going to last very long.
No, it's already gone.
I am telling you, Yankees fans are in a bad place right now.
Yeah.
You need to see something different and substantial here.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think especially if they lose in 3 games, like if they go out there and lose tomorrow, Yankees fans are going to be off the face of the earth. Like, we're talking about Judge, but you also have to consider it's like this entire core that they strung together, right? You don't sign Stanton to be the tandem duo with Judge to produce 0 titles. The Yankees are staring down a really unfortunate and really harsh reality, which is what is going to need to change to pretty much not waste the entirety of Aaron Judge's prime. And I mean, honestly, in terms of how that goes, he's technically already kind of on the back end of his prime. He's 34. He's going to be 35. And it's all the more stark. I know what people are going to say. It's all the more stark when you consider the history of the Yankees. Aaron Judge comes in and is named the captain after Derek Jeter, the last captain. Derek Jeter, known as like Captain Clutch, Mr. November. Like, Derek Jeter had a penchant for the playoffs, certainly. When you're Aaron Judge, that's going to affect your Yankees legacy in some way, shape, or form.
I mean, 100%. There is always going to be a part of, if this is really how it continues and he's never able to break out of the October slump, you best believe that is going to be something that people talk about. I understand that the postseason is a lot shorter, but that's the time when it really matters. You're either the kind of player that performs well under pressure or you're not.
Yeah.
And he is the captain of the team. Surely that means he should be one of those people that is performing well under pressure. And if I am a Yankees player or a fan right now, I am thinking that if Aaron Judge performs well in the games that remain in this series, that is a bonus. But I am not relying on him to be the performer here because I don't see that happening. And I'm telling you right now, if they go out there tomorrow and lose 9-2, they will get booed out of Yankee Stadium and Aaron Boone may get fired. That's seriously what's at stake.
Yeah, we had the Boone discussion last week, but you know what it feels like to me for Judge? This is just a completely off the wall prediction. It feels like Judge hangs on long enough to where he's 41. He's on the last year of his deal. And he's like he kind of comes in off the bench, like no longer a pivotal part of the lineup. Like, he's over the hill, and the Yankees like piece together a new core and they finally win a World Series. So like he gets a Yankees ring, but he just wasn't the guy. Like he's just hanging on and he gets like a courtesy ring.
Oof.
I'm just, I'll come back to that in like 6 years if that happens.
Or like next year if they win the whole thing.
Yeah.
No, but listen, I get it. I think obviously, whatever. We both understand the point here. He has to do more, and it will impact his legacy one way or another based on what he's able to do in October. Then we have Shohei Ohtani, who I did also just want to mention. His contract, 10 years, $700 million. 2025 postseason stats, not including today, batting 3 for 15, but again, 2 home runs, 4 RBI. He also pitched last night and he got 9 strikeouts. He did struggle a little bit in the earlier innings, but he was able to get 9 strikeouts. They won that game, which we'll talk about in a second too, against the Phillies. Shohei Ohtani is a high performer, and he's a high performer all the time. I'll say it.
Yeah, Ohtani's going to show up in the postseason, especially at the plate. As we get into the Dodgers-Phillies series, we'll talk about that a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, you look at Ohtani, you look at Vlad, you look at even a guy like I put here as like an honorable mention in this discussion, Bryce Harper for the Phillies, right? 13 years, $330 million in 2019. The world was different in 2019 in terms of these contracts. Is Bryce Harper broke? Just kidding. Anyways, the postseason's barely begun for him. Phillies-Dodgers are playing actually right now as we film this episode. They're playing game 2. But he's a career 278 hitter in 198 at-bats in the postseason, which is almost as much as Judge. 17 home runs, 34 RBI. That was the one last thing I wanted to say in regards to Judge. Judge has 238 career postseason at-bats. This is not a small sample size we're talking about when we're talking about the Aaron Judge problem. That is damn near like half a regular season the guy has had up there in terms of how many times, obviously, the Yankees in the postseason almost every year of his career. It's a big sample size. So you look at a guy like Bryce Harper. Sure, Harper was in that conversation maybe a few years ago as face of the game, one of the biggest stars, will be a first ballot Hall of Famer as well. He shows up for the Phillies.
He has an October problem, and he needs an October solution. That's all I have to say on it. Dodgers against the Phillies, like Ashley mentioned, they are playing right now, but we're going to talk about game 1 for a second as she pulls up the score for the game that's happening currently. The Dodgers won 5-3 in game 1, overcame a 3-0 deficit. Phillies had a 3-run second inning. Okay, credit to the Dodgers, at least at that point, for not cracking under pressure in that environment. Actually, they did that the entire game. Teoscar Hernandez hits a 3-run homer in the 7th inning. Just devastating if you're a Phillies fan.
Devastating.
Awesome moment.
What a shame.
Through game 1 of the NLDS, Hernandez, 3 home runs, 9 RBI. I mentioned Ohtani had early struggles, but he pitched 6 innings with 9 strikeouts. He was 0 for 4 with a walk at the plate. I bring that up for a reason. Big Papi has a lot of bars these days.
He has a lot to say. He always has.
He had a bar after game 1. He said, Philadelphia had to win that game tonight. Let me tell you why. When you think about the Dodgers winning a game, the first thing you look at is what Ohtani did. He pitched really well tonight, but he went 0 for 4 at the plate, and he still got a win as a visitor. When Ohtani is hitting, and that's all he's doing, and he's hitting well, good luck to the Phillies.
Good luck,
no
Charlie.
less when they are back on the West Coast. I mean, that was really, to me, if I'm a Phillies fan, I am thinking that game 1 was a must-win game.
Yeah.
It really was. And now, all the more so. What's the situation now?
Well, I should bring up, it is very newly 3-0. Dodgers top of the 7th, 2 outs. This was like a pitcher's duel. Like Snell and Luzardo both were dealing the whole game. We'll see if this score holds, but Phillies have 1 hit. Feels pertinent to mention. And if the Phillies go back to Los Angeles, I mean, down 2-0, it's the same thing as the Yankees. Like, Phillies and Yankees could be toast.
But, see, it's funny. You say it's the same thing as the Yankees, but to me, it's not. Like, I see that the Phillies are losing 3-0. Game 2 isn't even over yet. As far as I'm concerned, that series, over. Done.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Our boss is a Phillies fan, and he came in today, and he was like, and truly the game hadn't even started yet, and he was like, no, this series is over, and I'm practically done watching.
Yeah.
But that's how I'd feel, too, if I was facing the Dodgers in that situation. The Yankees, I don't necessarily feel that way about. I could still see them eking out a Game 3 win and a Game 4 win, because that's just what they do. And like I told you, probably getting demolished in Game 5, but it could get that far. The Phillies, No. You can go to Cancun now. It's done.
Like, book your trip. Juan Soto's there. Maybe you guys want to link up.
That was embarrassing, by the way. I didn't really like that story at all.
Bad joke.
No, why did you post that?
I know our Dodgers fans. Game 2 is not over. The Dodgers sometimes have a bullpen problem, so we'll see if that score holds. But if it does, oh man, the Phillies headed back out to the West Coast staring down that mountain. I mean, if you're the Dodgers, you might as well pop the champagne on the plane back to California, honestly.
Speaking of underperforming, I don't know if this is still the case, but when I wrote these notes like an hour ago, Kyle Schwarber was 0 for 20, dating back to the regular season. What in the good God is that? I mean, you need to have more if you're Kyle Schwarber. Like you said, Snell, wheeling and dealing. So we'll see what happens. But the Dodgers, really good team, really strong team all around. I most certainly see them advancing at this point. Beyond that, you have the Mariners going up against the Tigers. That series is tied 1-1. Really interesting baseball, quite honestly. Game 1, Tigers win 3-2. Game 2, Mariners win 3-2. One of the more evenly matched series that we have going on out of these 4.
I would agree. I'm here for the Mariners. I said that last time. They've never been there. They've never won. I would love to see the Mariners advance to the ILCS. Also really funny because we sat here before the divisional round started and said, can anybody in the American League challenge the Yankees? And now look where we are. And that's why baseball is a funny game.
Yeah, I agree. It actually is very interesting. Then you also have Brewers Cubs. Game 1, Brewers won 9-3. It was really not competitive. They scored 6 times in an 11-batter first inning while turning Chicago left-hander Matthew Boyd's start on short rest into the shortest postseason start for a Cubs pitcher since the 1945 World Series. That was a problematic game for the Cubs, quite honestly. Game 2 is tonight at 9:08. But, listen, we talked last time that we were sitting down at this table about the fact that the Brewers having a couple days off could have really went either way. You really got to figure out what your strategy is there. All I can tell you, honestly, is that whatever they did, it worked because they came out just as strong as they have been performing the entire regular season, which was strong, consistent baseball.
Yeah, the Brewers are like what you see is what you get, right? Like the Brewers don't play games.
No.
They win games. They do it in a lockdown fashion. They don't have really any glaring holes. I don't think they have any sort of like culture. Like the Brewers are just solid, steady, consistent. I think a really dangerous team if they make it to the NLCS. Honestly, a Dodgers-Brewers NLCS would be extremely interesting baseball.
Extremely interesting. Because you know how, listen, with baseball, I think part of the reason why it's such an interesting sport is because you truly never know what's going to happen. And frequently, the quote-unquote best team in baseball is not the best team in baseball.
No.
If that was always true...
know it.
You know what? I'm not going to go there because you get it already. All right, we don't have to do it. But in this instance, if I saw that the Brewers ended up winning the World Series and they were and have been the best team in baseball from a record standpoint, I'd believe it.
Yeah, me too.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Me too. I think if you're the Dodgers, you should be concerned about the Brewers. Honestly, the Brewers they've had the momentum all year long. Last year, the Brewers had that feeling when the Mets eliminated them in the wild cards, like that they were 1 year away. And this year they're sort of proving that. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. I also just want to put it out there right now. You mentioned that the teams that got the bye, if you are a Philadelphia Phillies fan, none of which I think listen to this podcast because it would sort of be painful and torturous if they did. I don't even want to hear a lick from Philly Sports Talk Radio, anybody involved with anything regarding the Philadelphia Phillies about how, oh my God, you got the bye again. And you came out and you lost the first 2 games of the series and it was all because of the bye. If you can't come out of the bye after being rested for a week and be a competitive team, I don't know what to tell you. That's like an internal problem. Mm-hmm. Figure out the workouts, figure out the schedule during the week. I don't even want to hear one single word about that as an excuse because it's pathetic.
You're a professional player. You're representing an entire city.
They pay you millions of dollars.
Correct. You just got to figure it out. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us. I honestly think we're just going to leave it at that.
And we're done.
Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on that note. Really appreciate you guys being here. We'll see you back here when the next big thing happens.